get you out of here. Fuck, give me one more.
Go, gotta go.
No fight, come on. Move.
At that moment, he recorded a video to get his message out, blaming Western nations, especially the US, for the issues plaguing his homeland. In his eyes, these countries were trying to dominate his people and take control of their land. During the video, he urged others to join his group, the Black Mass, to resist the influence of the West. Once the video was done, the Supreme Leader and his men set off for a nearby village. They needed more recruits, and their method of persuasion was sheer terror. As soon as they arrived, they opened fire, sending the villagers into a panic. People scattered, trying to find safety, but the attackers were relentless, taking down anyone who fought back. Despite the chaos, the village leader put up a strong defense, managing to take out a few of the Black Mass fighters before he ran out of ammunition. Eventually, he was captured. Later, the Supreme Leader interrogated him and the other survivors, including the village leader's family. Desperate to protect his people, the village leader pleaded for mercy, insisting they were just ordinary folks who wanted no part in the violence. But the Supreme Leader had no sympathy. He believed that anyone who refused to fight for his cause was siding with the enemy. When the village leader refused to comply, the Supreme Leader's rage boiled over, and he executed the man's son right in front of him. Even after witnessing his son's murder, the village leader stood his ground. Refusing to join the Black Massachusetts enraged, the terrorist leader decided to execute him along with the rest of the villagers. The only one spared was the village leader's daughter, thanks to his wife's desperate pleas. Moved by her begging, the Supreme Leader allowed the little girl to live. The following day, the President of the United States was in his office, drafting a letter to other world leaders. He was seeking international cooperation to stop the Black Mass, which had become an increasing threat since 9/11. Over the years, the US and its allies have been working together to maintain global security. They had formed an elite task force consisting of top-tier soldiers from around the world. Among them were Daniel and James from the US, Galina from Russia, Sue from China, Ralph from England, Jacko from France, and Chris, another American. 3 days later, at a secret military base in the Middle East known as the Black Site, a high-ranking commander named Briscoe arrived. A soldier named Smith greeted him upon arrival. Meanwhile, another soldier, Marino, was stationed nearby, keeping watch for any signs of enemy activity. Soon after, the Special Ops team assembled before Briscoe, who briefed them on their top-secret assignment. Their mission was to capture Mohammed Aviv, a notorious arms dealer who had been supplying the Black Mass with weapons. By catching him, they hoped to uncover intel about the Supreme Leader of the terrorist group. The mission was urgent, so urgent that the team didn't even have time for practice drills. They had to deploy immediately. The team was airlifted by helicopter to a desolate, rocky hill before continuing on foot towards their target village. Raul, feeling overconfident, decided to break away from the group and take down a distracted guard on his own. Meanwhile, the rest of the team entered a house they suspected was Aviv's hideout, only to discover they had the wrong guy. Frustrated, Raul wanted to kill the man anyway, but Daniel stopped him, reminding him they couldn't harm innocent people. Undeterred, the team kept searching, splitting into two groups. When Jacko and Sue entered another house, they were caught off guard when a man inside suddenly grabbed a weapon and attacked. Meanwhile, the rest of the team found Aviv hiding in a back room. Galina quickly spotted a collection of cell phones on his table and grabbed them, hoping they held vital information about the Black Mass leader. Realizing he was trapped, Aviv attempted to shoot Chris, but Daniel reacted swiftly, preventing the attack. However, by then, the terrorists had discovered the intruders, and Jacko and Sue found themselves being chased. Back at headquarters, Marino worked on locating the safest escape route for the team. As soon as Jacko and Sue rejoined their squad, they realized they were surrounded. A massive gunfight erupted, and in the heat of battle, Daniel tried to save Chris, who was gravely injured. Despite his efforts, Chris lost too much blood and couldn't be saved. After a brutal fight, the Special Forces managed to eliminate the remaining terrorists and return to base, bringing Chris's body with them. Meanwhile, a member of the Black Mass reported to the Supreme Leader, informing him that Aviv had been killed and that their movements might now be under surveillance. But the Supreme Leader wasn't fazed. He had anticipated this possibility. Confident in his plan, he reassured his followers that they needed to prepare for a full-scale war against the Western nations. He then ordered his men to stay on high alert for any future attacks from the Special Forces. Back at Black Site, the team analyzed data from Aveng's confiscated laptop and phones. Using satellite imaging, they managed to locate what they believed to be the Black Mass's main base of operations. Meanwhile, Daniel and James stood by as Chris's body was prepared to be sent back to the U.S. overcome with emotion. James got into an argument with Raul, blaming him for Chris's death. James accused him of being reckless, which he believed had cost them their teammate's life. The tension escalated until Daniel stepped in, breaking up the fight and reminding them that their priority was completing the mission. Inside the base, Briscoe and his team discovered what looked like an enemy encampment set up in the middle of the desert. They quickly relayed this intel to the Special Forces team and began preparing for an operation to investigate. The next day, Daniel and the team were transported by helicopter to a vantage point overlooking the enemy camp. From their elevated position, they observed the Black Mass fighters below. Using her rifle scope, Galena carefully scanned the area, identifying key targets. Once they had mapped out the enemy positions, Daniel divided the team into two groups, ensuring their attack would be as effective as possible. Galena was stationed as the team's sniper, keeping watch from above as Daniel and his squad made their way down the hill toward the enemy camp. Moving with precision, Galena silently eliminated 3 guards, clearing the way for the team. Daniel and Jakku sneaked in from the back, quietly checking tents for any signs of enemy activity. In the process, Daniel had to take down an armed terrorist who spotted them. Meanwhile, Ralph, James, and Sue approached from a different angle with Galena covering them, taking out 2 more enemies from a distance. Thanks to her sharp shooting, they were able to get inside the camp without much trouble. As Daniel and Jakku continued their search, they stumbled upon a tent filled with materials for making powerful chemical bombs. Daniel quickly reported this to Briscoe, but before they could do anything, they were ambushed by terrorists who had spotted them. At the same time, the Black Mass leader gave orders for an attack. From her position, Galena saw enemy reinforcements approaching and immediately warned Daniel. A chaotic gunfight broke out, with both sides exchanging heavy fire. Ralph's team was also caught in an intense battle against another wave of terrorists. Seeing they were in trouble, Galena provided cover by taking out several enemies, giving them some breathing room. Meanwhile, Jakku threw a grenade into one of the tents to slow down their attackers. But even after the explosion, more enemies kept coming. Realizing they were outnumbered, Daniel ordered everyone to retreat up the hill while he stayed back to hold off the advancing terrorists. Back at headquarters, Briscoe arranged for a helicopter to extract the team as they were becoming overwhelmed. As Ralph and the others climbed toward the pickup point, Daniel found himself surrounded. Galena kept an eye on the enemy's movements, ensuring her teammates made it safely to the extraction zone. When James reached the helicopter, he wanted to go back and save Daniel, but the team stopped him, convincing him that they needed a proper plan to rescue their captured comrade. At the Black Mass base, Daniel had been taken prisoner. Supreme Leader, the terrorist mastermind, confronted him personally, furious that he was part of the Western forces. Back at headquarters, James was still troubled over Daniel's capture. Ralph reassured him that they wouldn't leave their teammate behind and would launch a rescue mission as soon as possible. Briscoe then briefed the higher-ups on the mission's findings, revealing that the terrorists were developing poison gas bombs, but their target was still unknown. Meanwhile, Galena examined Aviv's phone and discovered coordinates leading to what could be the Black Mass group's next target. Back at the terrorist camp, Supreme Leader ranted about how history would remember him, comparing himself to past revolutionaries. However, unlike them, he felt betrayed by the West, who now labeled him a terrorist. To prove his strength, he tortured Daniel, slicing his hand with a knife. The next day, the Special Forces prepared to move toward the location Galena had found. Briscoe provided them with clothing to blend in with the locals. At the same time, over at the Black Mass base, Supreme Leader's right-hand man informed him that they were ready to test their deadly chemical weapon. Their chosen test site was an unsuspecting village, where they planned to release poison gas, killing everyone within minutes. Supreme Leader believed this weapon would make the world bow before them. As the terrorists approached the village, they didn't realize the Special Forces had already infiltrated the area, disguised as villagers. Briscoe divided the team into 3 groups and ordered them to wait for the right moment. The terrorists brought the village chief as a hostage to intimidate the locals. Galena had taken position on a rooftop, ready to take the shot on Supreme Leader. However, before she could pull the trigger, the terrorists spotted her. Supreme Leader quickly activated the chemical bomb and executed the village chief, sparking an all-out battle between the special forces and the terrorists. Briscoe urgently ordered his team to disable the chemical bomb before it could release its deadly gas. Jakku, responsible for stopping the bomb, rushed toward it, despite taking enemy fire. Meanwhile, Ralph and James worked to evacuate the villagers. Using explosives, they managed to slow down the enemy, giving the civilians a chance to escape. Even after the terrorists were defeated, the chemical bomb remained active. Jakku, injured and unable to use his arm, couldn't disarm it himself. With less than a minute left, he guided Ralph and Galena through the process. Following his instructions, they cut the correct wire, successfully deactivating the bomb just in time. With their mission accomplished, the team returned to base, but their fight wasn't over yet. Daniel was still being held captive by Supreme Leader. Back at headquarters, Briscoe received a disturbing video from a CIA informant showing Daniel being tortured. Gathering the team, Briscoe played the footage, reminding them that their mission wasn't complete until they brought Daniel back. Watching the horrific treatment of their teammate, the squad's determination to rescue him only grew stronger. The film closes with the team preparing for their next mission, knowing they won't rest until they bring Daniel home. And the lesson? If you see a sniper on the roof, just wave, because you're already toast.